Greenwich Village, New York City. All was a scene. Locals and tourists come for the shows. Tonight, it's my turn at one of my favorite clubs.
Your next comic coming to the stage. He's a comic and a writer from Brooklyn. You can catch his novel. It's called Research. Give it up for Stuart Gibbel, everybody!
Thank you, John. So this is a milestone for me. I've been doing comedy for 3 years, and I finally have enough material to fill up a CBS receipt. So if I run out of material, you'll help me out. There's some valuable coupons on the back. Although you may not need some.
I'll go online as well.
Thank you. Anyway, it's great to be here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to have a great rest of the evening, I hope. I hate to start the evening off on a downer, but I had some bad health news this week. Yeah, I found out my doctor no longer takes my insurance, but I could still get an abortion. And she was a good doctor. Not unattractive, got me to take my medicine, but most importantly, she laughed at my jokes. And that's why I make a co-payment, you know? Tired of those bringer shows. You know what the worst part of a new doctor is? The sex questionnaire. They never take no for an answer. And no male over the age of 15 wants to say no with, are you sexually active? Are you sexually active? But I have the answer. I say, doctor, I think all participants should be active during sex, don't you? I'm a comic. I'm no Cosby. Feel a little pushback about that. Like maybe I shouldn't have a little crush on my doctor? Well, I have an excuse. Men are stupid. And they're more likely to listen to an attractive female than some old guy with lots of degrees. So, but then the doctors usually say something that makes no sense to me. They say, we need to make sure you're healthy enough for sex. Really? I mean, if sex takes me out now, doctor, I'm too old to die young. You know, to take me out. I have no problem. And didn't they teach you about death in medical school? I mean, unless you only have one patient and his name is Keith Richards, you're going to lose a few. You know? So what I'm saying is that if the healthcare profession cares about my health, they should hire more women. Because one, I'll listen, and two, women have smaller fingers. I'd like to thank John for hosting the show. I think he's doing a great job. He didn't mention in the introduction is that I am old. I'm so old I once had a MySpace page. That's old. But I have not given up on all technology. I love texting. You know, it's communication the way the Lord intended. No talking, you know? It's perfect for exes, kids who need money, just about anyone. I don't speak emoji. I'm amazed by these people who could send a fruit and a vegetable and get sex. That's incredible, but that's beyond me. But the other day I was rereading a text before I hit send, and I realized I was proofreading a text to my weed delivery guy. What was I afraid of? You know, no edibles for misspellings, you know, too many typos, you can't get the good stuff? What, you guys think I grow my own? I live in Brooklyn, I just don't have room to grow my own, and I don't know the proper lighting and watering and all that stuff. So I have a weed delivery guy, and he showed up, and he opens his case, and it was all the magic stuff, the flowers, the carts, the edibles, the pre-rolls, but he had a new product, magic mushrooms. And I've... Some people sound like they've been pre-gaming, and that's okay. It's a comedy club, okay, not a book club. Okay, I don't know what you do at book club. I assume it's something. But anyway, I've always wanted to try magic mushrooms because I hear they're a powerful hallucinogen that allows you to hear colors and see mythical creatures like unicorns and moderate Republicans. People give me a hard time for making fun of Republicans, but I will stop talking about Republicans when they start telling the truth. George Santos, has he ever told the truth in his life? The worst and stupidest lie he's ever told was he said he helped finance a Broadway musical. And the musical he said he helped finance was Spider-Man, Turn Off the Dark. That's like a bunch of 15-year-old boys arguing who has the smallest penis. I mean, it makes no sense to me. And then we have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who many of you do not like, but I appreciate the fact that she writes like 20% of my material without getting a royalty. She said women get abortions because Satan whispers in their ear. That's not who's doing the whispering, okay? But the stupidest thing the traitorous Marjorie Taylor Greene said is she said, Nancy Pelosi is going to send the gazpacho police after me. And I want to say, I think you meant Gestapo police, but that would be redundant and you would accuse me of being a grammar Nazi, so I'm not going to do that. But here's a trick how to deal with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and this is true. Just remember that her congressional district is where they filmed the movie Deliverance. And then, you may have heard this, there was an alligator in Prospect Park. How bad are things in Florida? I mean, is this alligator escaping the Don't Say Gay bill, the everyone must have a gun bill, you can't thing, and Ron DeSantis, he's always complaining about wokeness, but won't define it. Here, let me help you out. Here's what I think wokeness is. People who are woke read books and don't ban them. How about that for your book club, okay? And then he says, Florida is where wokeness goes to die. And I say, I think Florida is where assholes go to legislate, but that's just me. And with all this Republican hypocrisy and the lies and the bullshit, I just read today that school kids in Texas are learning how to treat gunshot wounds. You know, God forbid they read a book about a guy who has two daddies, but they know how to deal with that tourniquet, okay? That's all this stuff, that's why I have a weed delivery guy, okay? And so I was looking at the magic mushrooms and I said, I don't know if my first trip should be on what he is offering, because he only had one strain, and it was called penis envy. And I go, what is up with the Freudian references here, you know? You know, I mean, if I was naming it after Freud, I'd do some ego, super ego, or some id, or something like that. I mean, why on the disproven theory that women are jealous of a man's junk? You know, from what I've seen in my life, if you have a vagina, you can get as many penises as you want. I'm going to go with the Jungian references when those come out. Some collective unconscious, or maybe some synchronicity, or I can listen to the album and trip out. But in the meantime, I didn't go with the mushrooms. I'm sorry, I don't have a good story about that. Maybe I'll make something up for next time. So where are my real New Yorkers at? Okay, I have the test. Are you ready? You're not a real New Yorker unless you got really upset when Celino and Barnes got divorced. And if you didn't get the reference, we could still be friends, but you're not a real New Yorker. So like a real New Yorker, you probably took the subway here. I've never really liked the subway. It's run by the MTA, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, and the teenager in me does not like anything with the word authority in it. I first started taking the subway in the 80s, 1980s, okay? Not that old. And I noticed that there was all these signs advertising the subway on the subway. Thank you for riding the MTA. And I thought to myself, you know, if I had another method of underground transportation that didn't smell like urine, I'd be taking it. Maybe you should spend more money on mops and less on advertising. And there was these other ads back in the 80s, and they had these beautiful pictures of marijuana, big buds, and the headline was, do you have a problem with marijuana? And an 800 number. I called the number. I was new in town. I didn't know where to get marijuana. They were not very helpful. So I think the worst thing on the subway are the preachers who scream about, you know, Jesus or wherever, and they give you a preview of hell on your morning commute. I'd be much more impressed if instead of screaming on the subway, they would, you know, go out and feed the homeless. But I guess that's just too much to ask for. But the ones that get under my skin are the Jews for Jesus people. You've seen them in Times Square. They wear the red shirts, and they always come up to me and they say, "Are you a Jew? Are you a Jew? Are you a Jew?" I go, "Yes, I am, but I just forgot to wear my yellow star. Please forgive me." Too soon? And then they say, and they do this as quietly as possible because I guess they want it to seem like they're telling me a secret. Do you know, sir? I don't know how they're bending down. They must be really tall. Do you know, sir? Do you know, sir, that you could be a Jew and still believe in Jesus? And I say, yes. I could also be a vegetarian and eat steak every day. Why are they picking on the Jews? Why is there no Mohammeds or Mormons for Muhammad or Baptists for Buddha or people like that? Why the Jews? And I know they're not real Jews because I have the question. I ask them, what is your favorite Chinese restaurant? And they name something like Golden Dragon Palace, Chiang Kai-shek, whatever. But a real Jew, a real New York City Jew would know that's a trick question. Don't you, right? Because you don't have one favorite Chinese restaurant. You have the best one on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, lunchtime specials, the best one that has the best dumplings that are affordable because when Uncle Maury comes to town, he loves dumplings, he just doesn't like to pay a lot. Yes. What is your favorite Chinese restaurant? So, what else would you like to talk about today? No, I don't need the list yet, okay? I'm committed to doing this by memory. That you need the valuable coupons for feminine hygiene products. So go get a girlfriend right now. Tell her I have a receipt. Right now. When you're heckled by your son, it is one of the greatest things that could happen. So like I said at the top of the hour, I've been doing comedy for 3 years, and people are always asking me, what's it like being a comedian? I don't know. I haven't done it long enough. When I first started comedy, I signed up for this class from a comedian, Jim Mendrinos. You may have heard of him. He has fans. He's a great teacher. He's never been convicted of killing one of his students. He said being a comedian was like being a matador. Dave Chappelle says being a comedian is like being a gladiator. Gladiator, matador. Gentlemen, turn off the testosterone a little bit. Most of those events are bloody. People die. What are you thinking of? And I know bullfights are very bloody because when I was 14, my father took the whole family to a bullfight in Mexico. And it was bloody, and they were teasing this animal and throwing sticks at it. And I go, Dad, this is terrible. He goes, Stuart, it's okay. They feed the meat to the poor. I go, Dad, when the matador dies, does a Gonzalez family go hungry? How does that work? And I was thinking of cannibalism at the time because I was studying it in school. Donner Party, California history. Look it up. They survived by eating their dead. And I'm glad that didn't happen today because if it did, they would have a reality TV show. Keeping Up with the Donners. They probably would even have a cookbook, you know. Rump roast, leg of Sam, you know, that kind of stuff. And I thought about it. You know, if I was about to die, you know, and I was stuck with some people, and would I be upset if they ate me after I died? No. But I have two conditions. One, you make me into stew. And two, you show some respect for my body and don't fight over the testicles.
Oh, man.
I don't know why I love that punchline, but I do. So I think a better question is, what is it like to be a comedian? I think a better question is, why do I do comedy? And like most things in life, I hold my mother responsible. When I was a little kid, she used to read to me, and I was her favorite son. And it's a tough burden to bear, but it's the way it goes when you're first. She used to read to me, and there was always, you know, books with jokes in them. And if there was ever a joke, we would tell it over and over, and she would say, "That's a knee slapper." And then I would repeat the punchline over and over and over again and say, "That's a knee slapper." And that's how I got started. But when she got older, I think when I was 18 or 19, she was recovering from breast cancer surgery, and we had to cheer her up, and she wanted humor, so we got records from the library, and one of them was Dangerfield. And it was the joke, "Doctor, I need a second opinion. You're ugly too." And we ran around the house saying that to her, and she laughed, and she laughed, and she really appreciated that we were trying to cheer her up, and it must have worked because she lived another 40 years. So when she passed, and I inherited a little money, the first thing I did was sign up for a class in comedy, and luckily I wasn't killed by my instructor, so here I am. I do comedy because I love doing comedy. Every time I walk on the stage, I think it's like my privilege. Last night, I heard that the club was flooded and they canceled Sunday's show, and I was thinking, oh, they're not going to cancel my show. You know, the stage isn't underwater. I could perform. So it really is an honor to perform, and I thank you all for coming out. And I can't say why I do comedy. I just love it. But I'm going to honor my mother afterwards and go to her favorite New York restaurant, Katz's Delicatessen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have what she's having. What? She's more of a corned beef person. I like pastrami. I don't know what you're thinking. But that's why I do comedy. So who here is in a relationship? Oh, my God. Anyone? Anyone? Yes. Yes. I know there's people that have been married for 50 years, so I think we could call that a relationship by default. I don't want to brag, but not one, but two of my exes are here in attendance. People are always talking about new kinds of relationships. You know, I heard this the other day, a throuple. First of all, that's a freaking awkward word. I mean, I'm in a throuple, you know. I want to get my wedding invitations to be me plus 2 or something. It's just ridiculous. But again, I don't want to brag. But many years ago, I once had sex with 2 women in the same year. So I think I have that beat, don't you? And here's my thing. People are very judgmental about relationships. You notice that? They always say, oh, your relationship ended. Oh, your relationship failed. Oh, blah. Relationships don't fail. They expire. It's like Fight Club. They go on as long as they need to, and then you move on. And if anyone tells you differently, they probably didn't get upset about Barnes and Noble. Celino and Barnes. So sometimes you're in a relationship and things that work out really well, and you end up with children, and that's exciting. I kind of hit the lottery about 26 years. People say, you want to hear the details of my lottery win before you try to flirt with me, okay? I warn you. My wife gave birth to boy-girl twins, and very exciting. People always go. One of them is now a professional heckler, and the other one, she's looking to find her way. She's only an amateur heckler. Anyway, before the twins were born, I thought New Yorkers were the smartest people in the universe. You know, they read tons of books, they went to the theater, they did the Sunday New York Times crossword in ink on the subway. But then I'm pushing around these babies in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And people saying, are they identical? One's a boy, and one, are they identical? One's in pink, are they identical? One has a penis, and are they identical? I gave up after a while and finally said, no, unfortunately not. They're not from the identical region of France. They're only sparkling children. So raising kids in New York is very exciting. A lot of my family back in California was like, oh, it's so hard. But I think it's so easy because you have parks, you have museums, you have libraries, you have buses, you have garbage trucks. These kids are fascinated by anything. But there is one thing that kids have a problem with, and there's one really just, apartment buildings have elevators, and elevators have buttons that need to be pressed. And kids always think it's their turn to push the button. And when you have twins, it's a competition. You're trying to get to work to pay for the nursery school you're about to take them to. And they are arguing whose turn it is to push the button. It's my turn to push the button. It's my turn to push the button. It's my turn to push the button. Wanted to bang their heads together, but that's not recommended in any of the baby books. Look for that. And after like the 5th or 6th time this was happening, it's my turn to push it, whatever. I thought, this is how I'm going to die. I'm going to be in a hospital. There's going to be tubes coming out of me and wires and monitors and people running around. And my kids are saying, it's my turn to pull the plug. It's my turn to pull the plug. It's my turn to pull the plug. You pulled the plug on mommy. When you're a comedian, you're allowed to outlive your ex-wife. That's how it works. She's free to do her own material at any time. And to this day, this is true, I get into an elevator and I don't even think about pushing the button. I just get in and wherever it takes me. And people look at me, what floor are you going to? And I try to remember, but I don't want to ruin someone's life by pushing the button. So I may be late to my next appointment or something. So it's about time to wrap this up, but I have a few more thoughts. I love working here. I don't need the thing. I memorize this. A lot of comedians use notes in their water, but I don't. You check this out. It's great to be back here in the Village. It's just such a great part of New York. You know, everyone knows that it's, was a leader in the fight for gay rights and a lot of other civil rights. And a real New Yorker, one who cares about Celino and Barnes, a real New Yorker knows that the highlight of the season is the Halloween parade. Everyone knows that. It's like the Met Gala, but for fun, freaky people. At the Met Gala, people are always asking, who are you wearing? Who are you wearing? Who are you wearing? Sounds like a question for some of Hannibal Lecter's friends, don't you think? But anyway, at the Halloween parade in the Village, it's what? What did I see going up 6th Avenue? What was that? And if anyone calls it Avenue of the Americas, they are not a native New Yorker. They're not even a good tourist, okay? Avenue of the Americas sounds like a rejected ride at Disney World. Yeah. And this is where we gave the natives smallpox. That can't be too soon. What did I see going up 6th Avenue? Was that a giant skeleton, a huge condom, a spider that's cross-dressing, I think, 8 arms and millions of possibilities? Oh, look, it's Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head with the correct genitalia. It really is a family event. Back when I was growing up, we were not woke, I think is the word. I don't know what the word was back in the 70s, 1970s. We were assholes. We made fun of gay people. We told gay jokes all the time. It was really pretty sad, and I'm glad we didn't have phones to record it, because I never did any of that stuff. In fact, I was once listening to the radio, and the DJ came on, and it was a story about Mick Jagger was found in bed with David Bowie. And the DJ was like, ooh, how could that happen? That's terrible. And now, I wouldn't care, unless it happened after David Bowie died. And I know Mick Jagger needs some satisfaction, but that's just a line too far. And I always have had trouble with the Rolling Stones lyrics, You make dead men come. That's like a metaphor, right? Where, who knows? And this was my biggest thing. I always thought the song, listen carefully, went like this. You can't always get a Chihuahua. So anyway, gay marriage is legal now. I think one of the reasons gays became accepted is because they owned it. They said, we're here, we're queer, that's it. You can't argue with that. And you can put it on a bumper sticker, which is the problem with Democrats. We always have messages like, we believe everyone should have health care because it is a right and you need it continued on next car. It just never ends. You want to come up with something short and snappy if you want to make change in this country. So, we have civil rights. In fact, I'm so comfortable with my sexuality that a year ago, I tried out for the Village People. They need to replace the cop. Too many chokeholds. I'm not taking it back. So you have to show up at this audition with a character and a song. So my character was the accountant. Because they didn't have one. And my song was Double Entry Till I Die. Yeah, they said the same thing, Mr. Gibbel, you're not Village enough, but I could try again next year. And I'm going to do that because it is on my vision board. I'm going to be a rapping dentist. And my song is going to be Drill 'em, Fill 'em, and Bill 'em. And if I don't make it in the Village People, I'm going to have a solo career. Because the world needs more Jewish rappers, Ice Jew, Vanilla Heeb, whatever. I'm going to make it on my own. And if I don't make it on my own, I want you to sing it with me. You can't always get a Chihuahua. One more time. You can't always get a Chihuahua, but you just might find you get another breed, okay? That's my time. Thank you very much. Stay around.
Keep it going for Stuart, everybody! Stuart Gibbel!
Hey, Mom and Dad. We made it to your favorite restaurant. I'm not sure if I answered the question on why I do comedy. I just know that I love it. And I couldn't have done it without you. And for that, I don't need a second opinion. Until next time,